Let me ask you something. How long have you been trying to fix yourself? You know, patch the cracks, silence the noise, force a smile, and pretend everything's fine. Self-help books stacked on your nightstand, motivational quotes saved to your phone, a meditation app you open once in a while, just enough to feel like you're doing something. But deep down, there's this nagging emptiness, this quiet ache, not because you're broken, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself you keep trying to repair. That's the thing no one tells you. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to rebuild. Like a house that's weathered too many storms, some parts of you need to be torn down with love, not to punish yourself, but to make space for who you were always meant to become, beneath the conditioning, the expectations, the noise. And that's where Buddhism walks in, not as a religion, but as a timeless blueprint, a map patiently drawn by those who walked this path of transformation long before us. It doesn't offer gimmicks, no quick hacks, just 12 profound principles that can change the way you live, feel, love, and let go. So if you're tired of quick fixes, if you're ready to rebuild, not repair, let's begin. First, stop chasing. Start returning. Principle, the noble truth of desire and suffering. Let's start with something brutally honest. Most of our suffering isn't because of what we lack. It's because we keep chasing things we were never meant to catch. The perfect body, the perfect job, the perfect partner, the perfect version of ourselves. We hustle harder, scroll longer, compare deeper, and the more we chase, the further we drift from peace, from clarity, from home. Buddhism's first noble truth is simple, but jarring. Desire creates suffering, and you can feel it, can't you? That subtle unrest when you want something you don't have. That anxious itch when life doesn't match your imagined picture. Here's the twist. Desire doesn't just mean material greed. It's subtler than that. The desire to always be happy. The desire to be liked by everyone. The desire to avoid pain at all costs. These aren't sins. They're human. But when you cling to them, they start running your life. And soon, you're not living. You're managing your image, your expectations, your anxieties. Rebuilding begins when you stop chasing who you think you're supposed to be and start returning to who you are. Try this. Next time you feel that rush to do more or be more, pause. Ask, is this coming from wholeness or from fear? You don't need more. You need to come back to yourself. And from that place, everything transforms. 2. Let it die so you can live. Principle, impermanence, Anatta. Ever tried to hold on to something that was clearly falling apart? A relationship that expired months ago. A version of yourself that no longer fits. A dream that quietly died, but you can't admit it. It's painful, right? Like holding onto shards of glass and wondering why you're bleeding. Here's what Buddhism whispers gently into your suffering. Everything is impermanent. Let it go. That's not just poetic, it's liberating, because the moment you accept that everything, your emotions, identities, attachments, even you, is constantly shifting, you stop resisting the natural flow of life. You start letting things die gracefully, old habits, old roles, old stories you told yourself. It doesn't mean you failed, it means you evolved. Rebuilding doesn't happen by force, it happens through surrender. You prune the dead branches to let sunlight reach the roots again. You mourn what was, and then you breathe. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care, it means you care about peace more than control, more than being right, more than staying the same. So ask yourself, what am I clinging to out of fear? What is no longer true, but I keep pretending it is? What needs to die so I can live? Let it fall. You won't lose yourself. You'll finally meet yourself. 3. The mind lies. Watch it like a movie. Principle, mindfulness, and the observer. Your mind is brilliant, but let's be honest. It's also kind of a drama queen. It jumps to conclusions, invents worst-case scenarios at 2 a.m., spins stories about what they think, what might happen, what could go wrong. You ever notice that? One bad email, and suddenly you're imagining being fired. One unread message, and your mind says, "They're mad at me." One awkward conversation, and boom, you replay it 17 times before bed. It's exhausting, because your mind doesn't care about peace. It cares about protection, survival, control. And that's why Buddhism invites us into mindfulness, not to silence the mind, but to observe it. Like watching a movie you've seen too many times. You know how it ends. You're not buying the drama anymore. That voice saying, "You're not good enough," that's not truth. That's just old programming. That fear whispering, "You can't change," it's just an echo of past wounds, not your future. Rebuilding your life means becoming the observer, not the actor trapped in every scene. You step back, you breathe, you watch, and guess what? You stop identifying with every thought like it's you. You realize you can choose what to believe, what to feed, what to release. Try this when your thoughts spiral. 1. Pause. 2. Name the thought. That's the not good enough script again. 3. Smile. Don't fight it, just watch it float by. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness watching them, and that, my friend, is power. 4. Drop the mask. Authenticity is liberation. Principle, right speech, right intention, and the illusion of self. You know what's exhausting? Wearing a mask every day, smiling when your heart is breaking, laughing at things that don't feel funny, nodding in agreement when your soul is screaming. No, it's a quiet kind of suffering, the kind that doesn't show up in X-rays or blood tests, but it eats away at you slowly, quietly, until one day you wake up feeling like a stranger in your own skin. Buddhism doesn't just teach peace, it teaches truth. And one of the hardest truths to face is this. You've spent so long becoming who the world wanted you to be, you forgot who you really are. Let me guess. Somewhere along the line you were told you were too much, too emotional, too quiet, too different, too sensitive. So you adjusted. You played the part, smoothed the edges, bit your tongue. You learned to become palatable for approval, acceptance, survival. But here's the catch. Every time you silenced your truth to keep others comfortable, you abandoned a part of yourself. And that's not living, that's performing. Now let me be clear, this isn't about being rebellious for the sake of rebellion. It's not about telling everyone off or becoming unfiltered and raw, just to be real. It's about something far deeper, alignment. Alignment between what you feel and what you say, between who you are and how you live, between the inner world and the outer expression. In Buddhism, this alignment is nurtured through the Eightfold Path, specifically right speech and right intention. But here's where it gets interesting. Right speech doesn't just mean don't lie or don't gossip. It means speaking from the truth of your heart, gently, clearly, courageously. It means honoring your inner voice, even when it trembles. And right intention, that's the compass, the why behind the words. Are you saying what you say to connect or to control, to liberate or to manipulate, to express or to impress? When your words, actions, and intentions are in sync with who you really are, not the mask, not the role, but the real you, something miraculous happens. You feel free, not just on the outside, but on a cellular level, like your whole body exhales, like your nervous system says, finally, I can stop pretending. And you'll notice something else too. People either start moving closer or drifting away. Let them. Because your authenticity won't attract everyone, but it will repel what's fake and attract what's real. Here's a moment to pause and reflect. Where in your life are you still performing? What truth have you swallowed just to be liked? Who would you be if you stopped editing yourself? Don't rush to answer. Let it land. Let it stir something. You don't have to tear the mask off in one day. Start by loosening it. Say what you mean. Express your weird, your wild, your soft. Let someone see the parts you always hide. It'll be terrifying, but also it will set you free. Because rebuilding yourself isn't about becoming someone better. It's about unbecoming who you're not. 5. Stillness is the loudest power. Principles samadhi, right concentration, and mental discipline. There's a strange myth floating around that if you're not constantly moving, constantly grinding, constantly producing, then you're wasting your life. We praise the busy. We glorify the hustle. We measure worth in how much we do, how fast we reply, how full our calendars are. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you sat still and actually felt okay about it? Not scrolling, not planning, not listening to a podcast while brushing your teeth. Just stillness, you and your breath, nothing else. It sounds simple, right? But for many of us, stillness feels like discomfort, like laziness, like something's wrong. Here's the truth Buddhism teaches through the concept of samadhi, mental discipline and right concentration. Stillness isn't emptiness, it's presence, and it's powerful. It's in stillness that you finally hear the things the noise has drowned out for years. It's where the anxious loops start to unwind. It's where the real you, the quiet you, gets to speak, and it doesn't shout. Stillness whispers. It whispers truths like, this path no longer feels right. You've been carrying too much. You don't need to prove anything anymore. But here's the thing. Stillness can feel unbearable at first. Why? Because when the outside noise stops, the inside noise gets louder. All the regrets, the doubts, the unresolved grief. It all rises to the surface like dust you didn't know was there. Most people run from that. They reach for their phones, open the fridge, turn on Netflix, start another project. Because sitting in silence with yourself is one of the bravest things you'll ever do. But you know what? It's also the beginning of transformation. Because eventually, after the restlessness passes, something soft emerges. Peace. Not the fake peace of everything's fine, but the grounded, rooted, steady peace of I can sit with anything and not be destroyed by it. Let me break this down practically. You don't need a Himalayan cave or a 10-day retreat to practice stillness. Start with 5 minutes. Sit somewhere quiet, no music, no goals, just you and your breath. Notice your thoughts? Good. That means you're alive. Don't chase them. Don't fight them. Just observe. At first, your mind will rebel. It'll scream, this is boring. You're wasting time. You should be doing something. Smile at it. That's just the ego gasping for attention. Let it tire itself out. Stay anyway. Because rebuilding your life isn't just about doing. It's about undoing. Undoing the compulsive need to prove. Undoing the habit of reacting. Undoing the illusion that stillness equals weakness. You know what's wild? The most powerful people you'll ever meet aren't loud. They're not aggressive. They don't try to dominate the room. They are still, calm, unshaken, like deep water. Because stillness is not about passivity. It's about presence. When you master stillness, you stop being pushed around by every little thought, every emotion, every opinion, every storm, and that's real strength. A few reflection questions before we move on. What am I distracting myself from with constant motion? What might I discover if I just sat still today? Who am I when I stop performing? Stillness isn't an escape, it's a return to your breath, to your truth, to the quiet center of you that never left. So pause, breathe, come back. Your power lives in stillness. 6. Respond, don't react. Principle, right effort, and emotional mastery. Someone says something that hits a nerve, and before you even think, you snap. A message comes in, and your chest tightens. A driver cuts you off, and you're boiling in seconds. Sound familiar? That split second between stimulus and response is where your entire life lives. And yet, most of us never pause long enough to realize that we even have a choice. We think we're reacting to the world, but really, we're reacting to the world inside us. Buddhism teaches something powerful here, something most people overlook. It's called right effort, part of the Eightfold Path. But don't let the word effort fool you. This isn't about trying harder. It's about training wiser. It means putting your energy not into controlling the world, but into mastering your own mind. Let me explain. When someone triggers you, they're not controlling you. They're exposing where you're not free yet. That comment, that tone, that passive-aggressive jab, it's not about them. It's about the wound in you they brushed against. And that wound, that's where the work begins. Reactions are old stories in disguise. See, when you react, you're not acting from the present. You're acting from a memory, a fear, a defense mechanism your nervous system built when you were 5 or 15 or during that heartbreak you never fully healed from. It's wild, isn't it? How quickly we can become that scared, hurt, angry version of ourselves without even realizing it. But here's what no one tells you. Every reaction is a chance to rewrite the story, to pause, to breathe, to ask, what's really going on here? Is this about them or about something I haven't healed? Who do I want to be right now? That pause, that single breath before the storm, that's where transformation happens. Emotional mastery suppression. Let's clear something up. Learning to respond instead of react doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It doesn't mean you pretend everything's okay when it's not. It doesn't mean you become numb, robotic, or detached. In fact, it's the opposite. It means you become so intimately aware of your inner world that your emotions no longer control you. They rise. You feel them fully. But instead of being dragged by them, you hold them. You hold your anger like a child who's crying. You hold your fear like a storm cloud passing overhead. You hold your sadness like a sacred teacher with something to show you. And then you choose. You choose your next move, your words, your energy, not from pain, but from presence. Try this, the 3-second rule of awareness. Next time something triggers you, anything big or small, try this before you react. 1. Pause. Literally say to yourself, pause. This breaks the automatic loop. 2. Breathe deeply. 3 full breaths. Feel your feet. Feel your chest. Come back to your body. 3. Name the feeling, not the story, just the feeling. This is anger. This is shame. This is fear. Why? Because naming it is claiming it. And when you claim it, you no longer become it. You are not a slave to your triggers. Look, we all get reactive. Even monks lose their temper sometimes. The difference is they notice it faster. They recover faster. They return to stillness quicker. That's not perfection. That's practice. And that's what right effort is all about. Not trying to be some ideal version of you, but making small sacred choices every day. To pause instead of pounce. To reflect instead of explode. To respond with wisdom instead of repeat old wounds. That's rebuilding yourself. Not just fixing what's broken, but rewiring what's been unconscious for too long. Reflection, if you're open to it. Where in your life are you most reactive right now? What stories lie beneath those reactions? Who would you be if you responded with clarity, not emotion? Take a breath. Feel that space. That's your power. That's your freedom. And it's available to you right now. 7. Compassion is not a weakness. It's mastery. Principle metta, loving kindness and inner strength. Let's be real. The world doesn't always reward kindness. You show empathy and someone takes advantage. You forgive and they hurt you again. You open your heart and it gets bruised, maybe even shattered. And after a while, you start building walls instead of bridges. You start believing that being soft is the same as being weak. But here's what Buddhism says. Compassion isn't a gentle escape. It's a warrior's path, and not the loud sword-swinging kind of warrior. the silent, steady kind, the kind who sees pain clearly and chooses to love anyway. In Buddhist tradition, this is called metta, loving kindness. But let's be clear, loving kindness isn't about being nice. It's not about ignoring red flags or tolerating abuse. It's not about pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's about something far deeper. It's about the strength to see humanity in everyone, yourself included, even when it's hard. Compassion starts with you, yes, you. You want to know why so many people struggle with compassion? Because they skipped the first step, turning it inward. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? And yet, we try. We beat ourselves up for mistakes, call ourselves lazy, stupid, not enough, hold ourselves to impossible standards, and then wonder why we feel resentful, bitter, numb. So before we talk about compassion for others, let's ask, do you give yourself grace when you fall short? Can you forgive the version of you who didn't know better? Do you speak to yourself with gentleness or judgment? Because honestly, that voice in your head becomes the voice you offer the world. Kindness doesn't mean you let everyone in. Here's the nuance. You can have compassion for someone and still walk away. You can forgive someone and still never speak to them again. Compassion doesn't require access. It doesn't mean staying in toxic dynamics. It means this: you choose to not carry hatred in your heart, even when you have every reason to. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. You deserve to be free from the chains of resentment, from the poison of grudges, from the weight of "I'll show them," because that energy, it's heavy. And you can't rebuild your life with a heart that's dragging yesterday's pain. You don't have to understand to be kind. Compassion doesn't mean agreement. You don't have to approve of someone's choices. You don't have to understand why they did what they did. You just have to remember, this person, like me, suffers. This person, like me, wants to be happy. This person, like me, is doing the best they can with what they know from where they've been. That doesn't excuse everything, but it softens you, and in that softening, you regain power. Because when you stop needing to punish, prove, or win, you can finally rest. Try this, the metta meditation, 5 minutes that can change everything. This is one of the most powerful practices in Buddhism, and it's ridiculously simple. Start by sitting quietly, close your eyes, take a few breaths, and repeat, either silently or aloud, for yourself. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I live with ease. For someone you love, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease. For someone you struggle with, yes, even them, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease. Do this daily for a week. Watch what shifts, because when you soften your heart, even a little, the world softens around you. Here's what I want you to remember. Being kind doesn't mean being naive. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And compassion doesn't mean weakness. It means you've mastered yourself to the point that you no longer need to harden to protect your power. You've become the eye of the storm, calm, rooted, radiating peace. And from there, you don't just rebuild yourself. You become the kind of presence that heals others too. 8. You are not your past. You are your practice, principle, karma, consistency, and self-liberation. Let me tell you a truth you might not have heard lately. You are not doomed by your past, not your worst decisions, not the mistakes that still wake you up at night, not the roles you played just to survive. And yet, you might still feel chained to them, don't you? That memory you can't shake, that identity others won't let you outgrow, that guilt that whispers, you should have known better. But here's what Buddhism teaches, softly but unmistakably. You are not your past. You are your practice. Read that again. Your past may have shaped your pain, but it doesn't define your potential. What defines you is what you choose to do today, and then again tomorrow, and again after that. That's karma. And no, it's not some cosmic scoreboard keeping track of your sins. Karma is cause and effect, moment by moment. It's every thought you water, every action you take, every choice you make, especially the ones no one sees. It's not punishment, it's responsibility, and that's what makes it beautiful, because it means you can begin again, right now. Your practice is who you're becoming. The word practice sounds small, doesn't it? Like it's less important than something big and final. But practice is everything. It's what you do when no one's watching. It's how you show up when it would be easier not to. It's the tiny habits you repeat, not perfectly but consistently, that shape your future. A jug fills drop by drop. The Dhammapada. That means your healing doesn't come in one dramatic cinematic breakthrough. It comes in tiny acts of self-respect. Sitting with your emotions instead of numbing them. Saying no without explaining yourself. Journaling after a hard day instead of lashing out. Taking a breath before reacting. Meditating even when you're restless and tired. Every drop counts. Every choice matters. Because over time, those drops become momentum. That momentum becomes character, and that character comes peace. Stop apologizing for who you used to be. Here's a hard truth that might sting for a second. You can't change your past, but you can stop worshiping it. Stop building a shrine to the version of you who didn't know better. Stop believing that your worst moment is the most honest thing about you. Stop letting the old story be your life sentence. People will try to hold you there, of course. They'll say, "You've always been this way. You never finish what you start. I remember when you messed that up. Who do you think you are to change?" Smile at them, softly, kindly, and walk anyway. Because here's the truth, you don't need permission to evolve. Not from them, not from your past, not even from the voice in your head that says, "It's too late." Try this, the practice inventory. Take a quiet moment, get a pen and paper, ask yourself 1. What am I practicing with my thoughts every day? Self-doubt, comparison, hope, gratitude. 2. What am I practicing with my actions? Avoidance, presence, overgiving, boundaries. 3. What do I want to practice from this day forward? Make it simple, make it honest, and then practice, messy, imperfect, but real. Because here's the liberating truth Buddhism offers again and again. Liberation isn't in the past, it's in the practice. Your freedom isn't found by rewriting history. It's found by rewriting today. And if you fall down tomorrow, you get up again, and again, and again. That's not failure, that's mastery. 9. Nothing outside. You can complete you, principle, non-attachment, and inner wholeness. Let's begin with a question. What have you been chasing? More money, the right relationship, a title, validation, control, closure. We've all chased something, and if we're honest, it often comes from one quiet belief. Once I get that, I'll finally feel okay. But Buddhism flips that belief on its head. It doesn't shame the desire, it examines it. Because what if the feeling you're chasing doesn't live in the thing at all? The illusion of completion. There's a concept in Buddhism called tanha, often translated as craving or thirst. It's the insatiable hunger that keeps the wheel of suffering turning. Not because desire is evil, but because craving makes you believe. Something outside of me will fix what's broken inside. That's the illusion. And the deeper you drink from that illusion, the thirstier you become. You get the promotion but feel empty again in 3 months. You fall in love only to fear abandonment the moment things go quiet. You move to the new city only to bring the same restlessness with you. Because none of those things are bad. They're just not home. You were never missing pieces. What if nothing outside you was ever meant to complete you? Not because you should detach coldly, but because you are already whole. Really sit with that. Wholeness isn't something you earn through effort or external approval. It's the deep, unshakable truth of your being, beneath all the noise. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Buddha. That doesn't mean we stop enjoying life. It means we stop depending on it to prove our worth. That's the power of non-attachment, not giving up, but letting go of the fantasy that more will finally make you enough. Relationships shift when you shift. Here's something beautiful that happens when you live from inner wholeness. You stop needing people to fill your gaps. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop grasping for control. Instead, you begin to love freely. You give without depletion. You walk away without bitterness. You receive without guilt, because you're not begging others to complete you. You're sharing from your overflow. And that kind of love, that kind of self-respect, it's magnetic, quietly powerful, unshakable. Try this, the enough practice. Sit quietly. Place your hand on your heart. Say gently, as if to a child, I am already enough. I am not a project to fix. Nothing outside me can make me whole, because I already am. Feel the resistance. Don't fight it, just notice it. Repeat this every morning for 7 days, not to manifest anything, but to remember the truth you've forgotten. You don't need to chase what you already are. You are not waiting to be complete. You are learning to return to your completeness, and the more you return, the less the world can shake you, because you finally understand. You are not here to seek worth. You are here to remember it. 10. Real change feels like loss at first. Principle, impermanence, and detachment. They never tell you this part. Transformation doesn't always feel like growth. Sometimes it feels like grief. And that's where most people turn back. Because when you truly begin to change, not the surface kind, but soul-deep change, you will feel like you're losing yourself. But in truth, you're not losing yourself. You're losing the parts that were never you. The discomfort of shedding old skins. Buddhism teaches impermanence, Anatta. Everything is always changing. The body, the mind, the emotions, the circumstances. Yet, ironically, we suffer because we resist that truth. We cling to identities, to stories, to relationships, to old ways of thinking. But real transformation, it isn't graceful at first. It's messy, confusing, exhausting. Because when you start to grow, your old self begins to panic. It whispers, this isn't safe. You're not being you. But what it really means is, you're no longer being the version of you I built for protection. The grief behind growth. No one talks about this grief. The grief of no longer resonating with old friends. The grief of outgrowing habits that once gave comfort. The grief of realizing that some love was actually control. The grief of seeing how long you wore a mask just to be accepted. This grief isn't wrong, it's sacred. It means you're healing, and healing always has a death in it. The death of who you thought you had to be. Let it fall away. In Buddhism, this process is often called letting go, but it's not passive, it's deeply courageous. It's sitting in silence when every part of you wants distraction. It's feeling your pain instead of numbing it with busyness. It's watching the ego panic as it loses its grip and choosing not to run. That's when real change takes root. When you stop fixing, stop performing, stop clinging to identities that kept you small. In the process of letting go, you will lose many things from the past, but you will find yourself. Deepak Chopra. Try this, the Fall Away Journal. Take a page, title it, Things I'm Afraid to Let Go Of. Now write, no filter. Name the things you cling to, even if they feel ridiculous. The approval of someone who never really saw you. The role you've always played in your family. The story that you're not good enough. The comfort of self-pity. The identity built around being the strong one. Then, below it, write, I am allowed to outgrow what I once thought I needed. Read this list every morning for 7 days, and just notice what begins to loosen. In truth, you're not falling apart. You're falling open. Let the old selves fall away. Let the identities crumble. Let the outdated dreams dissolve. Because what's coming is not just better, it's real. 11. When you stop resisting, you start flowing. Principle, acceptance, and surrender. Have you ever watched a leaf float down a stream? It doesn't fight. It doesn't question. It doesn't cling to a rock and scream, "This isn't where I'm supposed to be." It simply flows. Now compare that to how most of us live. We resist. We tighten. We demand certainty. We try to control the uncontrollable, other people, the future, even our own thoughts. And in that constant resistance, we suffer. But Buddhism offers a radical truth. The more you resist life, the more painful it becomes. And the more you accept what is, the more peaceful you become. The nature of flow. The Buddha called this dukkha, the unsatisfactory nature of clinging and resistance. We suffer not because of life itself, but because we refuse to flow with it. Instead of flowing with change, we grip the past. Instead of accepting pain, we deny it. Instead of facing fear, we suppress it. But transformation begins the moment you say, "I don't have to like this, but I can stop fighting it." The inner shift. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means you stop wasting your life trying to control what was never yours to control. You still act. You still speak your truth. You still make choices, but you stop arguing with reality. When it rains, you get wet. When people misunderstand you, you let them. When things don't go your way, you breathe instead of break, because real power isn't in controlling life. It's in flowing through it with presence and grace. A story from the Zen tradition. A young monk was walking through the forest with his master. Suddenly the skies opened. Heavy rain poured down. The monk cursed the weather and grumbled with each step. The master, soaked and silent, smiled softly. Finally the monk cried, "This is miserable. Why aren't you upset?" The master replied, "Because I chose to get wet." Acceptance isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Try this, the resistance inventory. Ask yourself gently, what am I resisting right now? What thoughts am I arguing with? What emotion am I trying to avoid? What outcome am I clinging to? Then ask, what would happen if I let it be just for this moment? Sometimes peace isn't found in changing the situation. Sometimes it's found in stopping the war inside you. In stillness, the river of life carries you. No force, no struggle, only flow. 12. Everything you seek is already within you. Principle, inner realization, and mindfulness. We spend our lives chasing happiness, chasing love, chasing peace, chasing a version of ourselves that finally feels enough. But in this wild, endless search, we forget something essential. We're searching outside for what has always been inside. The lie we've been told. The world teaches you. You'll be happy when you achieve more. You'll be fulfilled when someone loves you the way you crave. You'll be at peace when your problems are gone. But those promises are illusions, mirages in a desert. Every time you reach one, it disappears. So you keep running and running and running until life becomes nothing more than a race toward a finish line that never comes. The Buddha's realization. Under the Bodhi tree, Siddhartha didn't become something new. He didn't gain enlightenment like a prize. He remembered what had always been true, that the source of peace, joy, and clarity already lived within him, and it lives within you too. You're not broken, you're buried. Like the sun hidden by clouds, your light is not gone. It's simply obscured by fear, by doubt, by stories you've told yourself for years. But when you sit quietly, when you breathe, when you stop grasping, you begin to see that beneath all the noise, beneath the roles and regrets and expectations, there is a stillness, a silence, a presence. And that presence is you, not the you that performs, not the you that worries, not the you that compares, but the deeper you, the watching you, the eternal you. A parable, the hidden diamond. There's an old Buddhist story. A beggar sat every day on a wooden box, asking strangers for coins. One day, a monk walked by and said, "What's inside your box?" The beggar replied, "Nothing. It's just an old seat." The monk smiled. "Check again." Curious, the beggar opened the box for the first time in his life, and inside was a sparkling diamond. He'd been sitting on treasure while begging for pennies. That's you. You've been seeking validation, peace, and happiness without realizing that everything you need is already within your own being. Try this, the mirror meditation. Each morning, sit quietly, place your hand on your heart and say, "I am not broken, I am becoming. I carry peace within me. I already have enough. I already am enough." Repeat it, not with force, but with belief. Let it seep in. Let it awaken the diamond inside you. The journey ends where it began. You've climbed the mountain. You've walked through fire. You've shed your skin, peeled away illusions. And now you see. There was nowhere to go. Just this moment, just this breath, just this you, awake, aware, alive. Everything you seek is not ahead of you. It's not in someone else. It's not in the future. It's here, now, inside. The treasure has always been within you. You only had to look.